Good morning, everyone. Shri Krim. I am here live with y'all this morning. So, waiting for everybody to jump in. I am live on multiple screens here. So, thank you for joining. Whatever you may be coming from, I appreciate y'all here. We'll get started here in a little bit. We're going to talk today about the KRT model and how that affects us and the business case for kindness. So, I appreciate y'all being here. I'm going to make a note over here on my live TikTok on what I'm doing. Gotta love all the different ways that you can touch base with people now, right? But I can't go live on TikTok while I'm live on these other ones. So it's kind of fun that way, trying to figure everything out. So I appreciate everyone joining this morning. We'll get started a little bit after the hour as everybody starts joining. Good morning. We're going to be discussing the KRT model today. If you do not know what that is, I can't wait to talk to you about it. It's the kindness, respect, and trust model, which is the future of business. And a lot of us who have been in the business world as long as I have over 30 years of experience within business at this point. It's amazing. My first job, for some of you who don't know me, my first job was actually working at a luggage store. It was a bag and baggage type store. And I was there for Christmas help. That was my first job when I turned 16 as Christmas help. Very quickly, I became the assistant store manager at the age of 16. So leadership is kind of something that comes naturally to me, as well as all of the experience in the years that I have managing people, as well as being a leadership coach, advisor, mentor, the awards that I've won for the work that I've done. So I just appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you live on TikTok, live on LinkedIn, live on Facebook, and live on YouTube. So I appreciate everyone being here today. So we'll get started here in a couple minutes, usually about 3 after I like to get started. So you guys can see back in the corner over there, and I know it's different. There it is, the business case for kindness. On that one over there we go. That's the hard copy of the book. The business case for kindness was launched right before COVID hit. So it was very appropriate for the times, but it's gotten more appropriate for where we are in today's world, and especially with the hate, greed, and fear that a lot of us are living with, and a lot of people truly believe are normal. And being somebody that came from corporate America, I was usually one of the only women in the room when it came to operations. And being that person, you learn really quickly how leadership works and how you can make a difference. Now, working in corporate, I was able to do so many amazing things during those years that I actually saved a telecom company that I worked for more than $250 million. And when you look at that and you analyze it, it's in the $2 billion mark at this point. And that's the interesting part, because I've always led by kindness. I have always led knowing that my employees and the people that work for me, I am there to help them, not to be the command and control. I am there to help them and assist them and lead with kindness. And kindness is the foundry of all of this, right? And that's why I wrote the business case for kindness. And I am going to be taking the KRT model, which is an integral part of this book, and I'm going to be taking the KRT model and I'm going to be making it its own separate book. And in the new book that'll be coming out later this summer, probably midsummer, we're going to talk about how the KRT model works for both business. It works on nonprofits. It works basically for any organization. And leading with kindness is our key. So I'm just so happy to be with you guys today. So if you have any questions, please jump in, give me comments, give me anything. I am here to chat with y'all and to have a good, hearty discussion today on why leading with kindness is our path forward. So super excited to start with this. So for those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Shri Krim. I am a former telecom executive. I was over operations. I have been part of some of the most major launches within our century, such as iPhone, digital life, DSL, fiber to the curb, which was a precursor to Uverse. I was lucky enough to work on some of the most amazing projects and products that have affected our lives here in our century. And that right there is just fantastic to know what I've been able to see and happen. Now, as we know, AI is going to become a big part of what is going to happen very soon. And if you haven't gone out to play with Chat GPT yet, Chat GPT is an amazing, amazing AI device that you can use, and it can help your business because things are going to be progressing in a very fun way, very quickly in our future. And being able to step in and be there with the change and be able to understand it and jump into it is everything that we need right now. So I am so excited. So the KRT model, let's start talking about it. So I have a little copy here of what it looks like. And I've got other ones too, but I can't seem to find them this morning. So I grabbed my book here. And so the KRT model is very simple, as you guys can see on the screen. It starts at the bottom with kindness, which leads to respect, which leads to trust. So there is no organization that is going to survive in the future without leading with kindness, because kindness is our path forward. Kindness is the basis of any relationship, right? And so when you're working with your employees and you're not leading with kindness, how are your employees feeling, right? Let's just sit back and talk about that. And I'm going to pull up a nice little example I have here, because I give a lot of examples of how things don't work. And so I'm going to give you a no kindness example, which is one of my favorite. Slaughter those that think differently. Nobody wants to slaughter those that think differently. I don't know where you came from, but nobody wants to do that. So thank you. Nobody wants to slaughter anyone. I don't know why TikTok has random trolls always pop in and say things, but we're talking about kindness today, and we're not talking about slaughtering anyone. The KRT in action, right? So let's talk about kindness and an example right now. Alina was a brand new employee at a large retail store. She was excited for her new job and how it was going to help her pay for college. Well, Alina's manager is David, and David's been with the business for 15 years and is a self-proclaimed team player. Well, Alina is now one of 8 people on David's team. At the first team meeting, David introduced the team to Alina, and David went straight into work and deadlines. After the meeting, two co-workers offer to help Alina with anything she needs. Oh, your toilet has served you divorce papers. Wow, y'all just are so good here on TikTok today that I'm going to mute you. If you're a jerk, just don't be one. That is the answer. We don't need that. We need more kindness in the world. So as we continue on this, 2 of her coworkers came and said that they would help with anything she needs. She is so grateful to see some friendly faces. After Alina completed 1 month on the job, she has a review with David. And during the review, David does not get to know Alina. In fact, he just reads from a paper about her performance and lets her go back to work. As you can see, David is not leading with kindness or showing any interest in his employee. So how do you think that makes her feel, right? When she is there and even her own supervisor isn't getting to know her or trying to know her. She works for the company for 2 more months and decides to quit. During the human resources exit interview, Alina tells them that her manager didn't get to know her. He doesn't care about the team. All he cared about was making the sales and the goals. He couldn't even spell her last name correctly, even though she corrected him numerous times. She told human resources how she is not the only one that feels that way. So I know some of you out there who work in corporate, you know that this is the way it works, but this is across the board. This is small businesses. This is everywhere. Treating your employees with kindness and leading with kindness will do amazing, amazing things for you. Your employees when you're kind to your employees, your employees will be kind to your customers. And don't we all want our customers to be treated the way that they need to be treated? Or do you want your customers not to be treated with kindness? So this all starts with us, right? Whatever business we're in, whatever leadership program we're in, whatever we are out there, whatever we're doing, lead with kindness, because easy ways to display kindness to people, right? Sharing information about yourself to create an environment of truth and sharing, right? When you get a new employee, do you go in and then you talk with them? Or do you go and ignore them and hope that they know what they're doing, right? These are the things that happen that we're not so sure about. A lot of people are afraid sometimes to go speak to the new employee. And a lot of managers, and let's be clear, just because you have a manager title does not mean you're a leader. A leader is a much, much different skill set. Being a manager means you can become a leader, absolutely. But are you willing to take that extra step, right, with kindness? Do you know of your employees' birthdays, their anniversary dates, their children's names, their pets' names, their personal information that they're willing to share, right? Do you know these things about your employees? That makes a world of difference, because when you know those things, then your employees are seeing that you're leading with kindness, because every little bit adds on. So, of course, making sure as a leader as well that you're sharing information about yourself. Now, when I worked for corporate, it was always an interesting thing, because when I first started in the early 2000s, you didn't see a lot of people walking around showing off their tattoos, right? People covered them up. And so, I actually have tattoos, and I remember having a team meeting, having a discussion about it, and they all looked at me like, wow. They had no idea that I would even have a tattoo. Not that tattoos are bad, but in their mind, being a leader might not have coincided with that. But that's okay, because I can do and be and have tattoos and still be an amazing leader, right? That's a stereotype out there that we don't have anymore. As you can see now within organizations, you see a lot more people showing their tattoos. And in fact, I'm going to be getting my next one somewhere here on my arms, wrists somewhere. And I can't wait for that. That's on the list of to-dos. So I appreciate everybody who's joining today and checking in. For those of you who just jumped on, we're talking about the KRT model, and we're starting off with kindness today and talking about how to use kindness to help engage your employees. And that's, starting at the bottom, because let me be clear, and I want to say this out loud, and this right here, it needs to be, just scream from the rooftops, I guess. No screaming and yelling at your employees, right? Screaming and yelling at your employees does what? Screaming and yelling at your employees does what? It does not motivate them by any means whatsoever. It does not motivate them. What it does is it detracts them. So no screaming and yelling. Like, don't do it, because that is not what employees need or want. Next, I know HR is part of this issue, but we have to stop allowing the adult bullies. We have to stop allowing the adult bullies. And those are the ones that are usually screaming and yelling, but we must stop allowing that type of behavior within our departments, because that is counterintuitive to what we truly need. Next up, we need to listen more. Being a leader means that you listen, right? Do you listen to your employees? Are you listening to their needs? Are you leading with kindness and knowing and being able to know when there's something wrong with your employees? So I knew my employees so well, every different level that I had within the company, that I would know when they walked in what type of day we were going to be having, what was going on in their world. Because because your employees are going to have their own battles, right? They're going to be out there, and they might be going through something hard with their children. They might be going through a divorce. They might be going through a move. They might be buying a new car. You don't know unless you do. And then you're paying attention and you are leading with kindness. So Next up, connection and inclusion. Being a leader means that you are here to help lead with that connection and inclusion. Now, right now, there's a lot of hate going on in the United States, especially towards the LGBTQ community, and we can talk about the hate towards women as well. But that is not making a connection or making things inclusive. There are so many companies that say they are for equality and inclusion and diversity, but yet, are they really? I live here in the state of Florida, and I really would like to see elected officials and, well, all of the companies that do business here stand up and decide. Are they a company that truly believes in equal rights for all? Or are they going to bow down to the dictator named DeSantis? And it is, if you don't live here in the state of Florida, you don't understand maybe how these rules are affecting so many people. I don't think any state should make their own militia the way that he is, but that's a whole separate discussion for another day because he's not leading with kindness. He is actually leading with hate. He is leading with hate towards people that don't fall into what he thinks they should do. So, managers need to make employees' success their goal, right? So, when your employees are not successful, you can only place the blame on those employees for so long. You, as the leader, as the manager, it is your job to work with them and to get them to help them be successful, right? Help them with their goals, help them get to where they need to go. And that's where a lot of leaders don't understand. Your goal is not about your success. Your goal is about your people's success. And that right there is the key. Your team's success is what shows your leadership ability. So making your employees' goals yours because you need to help them be successful. Encourage, right? We are teeter-tottering between a command and control culture and a more nurturing, equitable culture, right? This is what we're feeling right now. We are in this, which one's going to go, right? Because people like the command and control. They want somebody to tell them what to do. But there's a whole bunch of us that don't, right? A whole bunch of us out here, we're working towards the more nurturing, equitable, because it doesn't have to be led with hate. It can be led with kindness. So encouraging and not commanding, very important for leading with kindness. And be open-minded and allow for new ideas. So pretty self-explanatory to you. Yes, but do you know how many leaders out there don't actually do that? So I have a comment over here on TikTok. Pretty self-explanatory to me. You would think so. Do you know how many leaders that I work with that have no idea how to lead with kindness? Their entire career has been about leading with fear and command and control and telling their employees what to do and when to do it. That sounds like a lot of micromanaging for me and a lot of headache, honestly, because your team, your goal being a leader is to create success for your team. I have built teams from the ground up. I have taken over teams and redone them. I have taken random people who nobody knew, who had never sold before in their lives, and made them the number one selling DSL team within 3 months by leading with kindness and taking the time to get to know my employees. So do you know your employees? Do you lead with kindness? Do you know their birthdays? Do you know their pets' names? Do you know those things? Because all of that leads to exactly the KRT model. So KRT stands for kindness, respect, and trust. The reason why we have leaders like we do is so we don't have Salem witch trials again. I don't understand that comment. We have command and control leaders because we don't want to have Salem witch trials. I'm confused. Nurturing, I don't understand that comment. So let's go on to respect, which is the next level. So think about it like the hierarchy of needs. You have your kindness here, and then you're going to have respect, and then trust goes to the top, right? It's 3 layers of how things fit together. So kindness is in the bottom, which we just talked through. And now we're going to talk about respect. Now, respect is given and gained by being truthful with your employees. If your employees believe you're being untruthful, you will never get their respect. And it's kind of funny because in the command and control culture, they think being that way that they're getting that respect because they're demanding that respect. I will tell you, it's amazing how many leaders think their employees respect them and their employees don't even like them. They may be doing the job because maybe they're afraid they're going to lose their job, but they're not doing the job because you're a good leader. They're doing the job for other reasons. So to be a good boss and to be a good leader, you're giving the respect that you want from your employees. You're giving that respect to your employees. Of course, telling the truth is critical for building respect with each other. And I see leaders across all industries actually not talk about the truth because they're afraid of what will happen, right? I went through 15 years, 14 years, I guess, of straight layoffs the entire time I was in telecom. Every year I worked there, they laid off employees. Why? I started telling my team, I can't tell you there won't be a layoff because that's how they were running a Fortune 10 company by doing layoffs every year to balance their budget. None of that is leading with any employees in mind, right? Because why would you do that? So I started being truthful because I did not go through 1 year without us having a surplus, as they called it. Why did we have a surplus? That's a great question. So in my last year in corporate, I actually, I was up for promotion. I was going to be promoted and I was going to run all the projects instead of just the sales and the retention projects. And working down that path, I remember I had a plan because there was no reason for us to hire additional people when we already had people doing this work. So my plan was to use the existing workforce and make it work because it was absolutely possible to do so. But that's not what they wanted. They chose somebody who hired 20, 30 more people from all over. And these people actually paid to move to the Atlanta area. Within 6 months, 20 or 30, at least 75% of them were let go because we didn't have the budget for it. But yet we hired them without the budget for it. Why? Why would we do that? We could have never gone through any of that. We could have stayed within budget, but no, they chose to go down a different path. And so that actually leads into more on the respect side, because once mutual kindness and respect have occurred, you can move to trust. And there was no mutual kindness and respect within this last organization I was in. That was very power hungry for what they wanted to do. And especially certain male colleagues really had ideas on it, and they got to get away with a lot of things, which was very, very interesting. So how to engage your employees using, once you get the kindness and you are on to respect. Number 1, stop allowing discrimination. No discrimination. Employees deserve to be able to feel comfortable where they work and should not be discriminated against. Communicating the truth. We've spoken about that a few times. Stop playing favorites and avoid favoritism. This happens a lot within corporate. And I know that a lot of you have probably seen that, right? The favoritism, playing favorites, managers doing that. Don't play favorites if you're a leader because that doesn't help your cause. Of course, praise in public and scold in private. I can't tell you how many leaders I have seen yell and scream at their employees in front of a room full of employees. What does that get you? What does that get you? It doesn't get you what you want. It's going to get you the exact opposite. So make sure you're praising in public and scolding in private. As a manager, as a leader, you have to admit when you're wrong. If you're wrong, you are wrong, and you have to admit that fact. It's hard, I know. Give credit when credit is due. The amount of leaders or managers that I have seen within corporate that will take credit for what their team has done instead of giving the credit to the team. The I word. I have accomplished, not my team, or not Todd on my team, or Betty on my team did this. That, give credit when it's due and personalize it in front of your boss, in front of all the leadership. You are the leader, right? And you're going to have people above you, but show who you are as the leader. You're going to give credit to the people on your team, and you're going to give credit to your team because you could not do this without your team. And if you are doing this without a team, I get that. If you're a single contributor, that's a different story. But if you are out there, you go and you make sure you're giving credit for your team because you're not doing it alone. And lastly, be clear on what type of performance your company rewards. And this is really an interesting thing because I've been through, I think some of my favorite years were the years that I had goals that had nothing to do with my job at all. I had goals at a company-wide level that I could never even actually attain, right? Because I wasn't even in any of those departments. But the Fortune 10 company decided that they thought it would be better and it would incent everybody to work together better if we had these big goals. No, it actually hurt performance. And our surpluses that year were actually higher than they had been in the years before. So thank you, everybody who's joined on TikTok. We're discussing the KRT model, which is part of the business case for kindness, which is our roadmap for the future. The KRT model is kindness, respect, and trust. And it is something that a lot of our leaders need some more of. And that's why I'm out here talking about it. So engaging your employees. So let's talk about a respect example, or let's go back and let's do a no respect example. And this happened within a fast food restaurant. Mike worked for a fast food restaurant for the past 3 years. His manager, Lucy, is a micromanager and must control everything the team does. One day, Mike comes to work and looks very upset. Lucy doesn't say a thing to him. That's his manager. About halfway through a shift, Mike goes to talk to Lucy. Mike's dog had just died the night before, and he was wondering if he could take some time off to go handle the remains. Lucy denied the request and states, "Since you're already here, you should just stay here because it isn't a big deal." Mike works the rest of his shift, and what happens? The next day, he puts in his 2 weeks notice because Mike doesn't want to work for anyone who doesn't respect him as a person. He wasn't leaving the company. He was just leaving the manager. And I think we all know 80% of the time, people are not leaving companies. They are leaving management. That means your manager is probably not a leader and does not understand team building skills or how to build a team. And that's why the KRT model is the best, because it literally outlines all of this for you. So you have started with your kindness, right? You're getting to know your employees. And then with respect, you're talking about the truth. You are actually doing things with them and giving them credit. But how do you get to trust, the next level up, which is the top level? Your kindness, your respect, and then the trust. Trust is one of those words that a lot of people use and believe that it's super easy to get, and it's not. Trust takes time. Trust takes the building blocks. Number one, kindness. Number two, respect. If you don't have those two, you will never get to trust within any organization. So, creating the environment of kindness and respect will lead to trust naturally. Once the trust is obtained, though, it's very important that you don't break that trust, or you'll need to start from the beginning. Because one lie, one misconception, one thing that you don't do, you could literally ruin your whole team by not doing that. Leading with kindness, respect to get to trust. Trust your team to meet their deadlines and don't hover over them and micromanage them. If your team is having problems meeting their timelines, then maybe you need to sit back and work with them. What about this timeline is an issue? What can I help you with? Not, you need to do better, go do it now, make the timeline. How can I help you? How can I, as your leader, help you? So, coach your team when there are new things for them to learn. Don't throw something on someone who's never done it before without any guidance. Without any guidance. You're the leader. You're here to help your employees. You're here to help also the people in your community. And that's why the KRT model is being expanded into not just corporate, because kindness, respect, and trust is, and nobody's coming on. I'm not having anybody live while I'm doing training, but maybe later when I do a live, you can jump on and we'll have a discussion point. So how to engage your employees at the trust level. So we talked about the kindness, we have talked about respect, and now we're at the trust level. Well, guess what? Number one trust that I have on here is flexibility. COVID taught us that most of these jobs a lot of jobs do not have to be done at a work location, right? In fact, we saw companies all over set up all their employees to work from home, but now they're trying to force them to come back to the office. That's not leading with kindness. That is not leading with kindness. And you're never going to keep your trust of your employees by doing that. So flexibility. There are multiple studies showing how we should go down to 4-day work weeks. I absolutely believe in 4-day work weeks. I don't believe anybody should be working more than 4 days a week. I believe that we need more time off to go spend time in our communities and helping our communities and doing things on the side that bring us joy and happiness. So flexibility, not just 9 to 5, maybe 4-day work weeks, and time off for volunteering. I also believe that companies should supply you every month at least a day that you go and volunteer, because our communities need your help as well. Transparency. Once you get to the level of trust, transparency is the key to keeping it, right? You have to be transparent. You have to be honest with your employees. You have to have advancement and learning opportunities as well. Employees don't just want to keep doing the same job. I know there are exceptions. I'm not going to say that there isn't, but a lot of employees don't want to keep doing the same thing. They want to learn something new and they want to expand and be more. It's very amazing when you give your employees the chance, what will happen. Follow through from management. How many times have you had somebody come through, ask you to do something, and then just totally forget about it? Keeping track of that as the leader, following up, following through. Collaboration, teamwork. Once you get to the level of trust, collaboration will be amazing. What you'll be able to solve and problem solve by working together because you trust one another. And of course, lastly, at the level of trust is challenge. Challenge the status quo, right? We don't have to live in hate, greed, and fear. We don't have to live where things are going, right? We are at a pivotal place in history. We have two competing things. Over here is command and control. What's really trying to happen here in the state of Florida and other states, right? Trying to command and control and tell people what they can do. Or you have the more nurturing, equitable side. This is the balancing act we are in right now. I will tell you, the majority of Americans, based on survey after survey, are tired of the command and control. You can see that out there. People want more equitable. People want more nurturing, especially the younger generations. And I have to thank millennials, and I will specifically call out that generation for helping me personally understand what it is that my predecessors, the boomers, I'm a Generation X. I am on the end of that. I'm kind of a genial, they call all kinds of names there, but I'm on the end of that. The boomers taught us one way, and theirs was command and control because that's what they knew. But we know better now, and we can lead better now. And us as Gen X leading better now means that we stand up and we make this work for everyone. And I say the word make because it is up to us to make the change and to live congruently to do that. So, what are your values? I always come back to this. Are you living what your values are? Because that makes a difference in all of this. I value equity, equality, diversity, inclusion. I value every person. Now, I don't also disvalue anyone. You may have an opinion that is different than mine, and that's okay. But don't try to force your opinion on me. See, that's the difference that I see when I'm saying command and control versus equitable and nurturing, right? I'm not here to shove anything down your throat or to force you. But yet, the command and control is. So what type of world do you want to live in? Do you want to go down this command and control dictatorship, telling us what we can do, who we can love, and having these companies as well not pay their fair share in taxes? Have to say it. Corporations, if you go back in history, corporations and the wealthiest of Americans used to pay a lot more in taxes. And do you know what we did during that time period? We built roads and bridges and infrastructure. And that's where we're headed again. If you are doing business here in the United States, I love the adage that when we give these companies tax breaks, that they're going to give it back and put it in the business. What did they do when we gave them tax breaks? Anybody? They bought back stock, they laid off employees, and they gave their bigwigs big bonuses. How is that helping communities? How is that helping anyone? It's not. Companies have been out there to make as much money as possible for themselves. Why? Why do we want to be that way when we could have companies thriving, not just sustaining, right? That's the awesome part of the business case for kindness, right? This will actually lead you to more profits because being kind to your employees means your employees will be kind to your customers. And what do happy customers make? More sales, right? More sales, and they bring in more customers. This isn't rocket science, and I do have a whole chapter entitled that because this is our path forward. So the KRT model is quite easy, but yet so complicated for some to make work. So I am so excited. We have gone through all of this in 40 minutes. I have quite a few people watching on the different platforms. So I'm super excited. I will sit here and take any questions that might pop up on any of the platforms around the KRT model. Kindness, respect, and trust. I truly believe that that is our path forward. The research shows the people want, and it would make our world a whole bunch better place if we start leading with kindness instead of the hate, fear, and greed. So let's go back over here and let's see who else has questions. All right. So you missed the first part. All right. So kindness. Let me pull this back up real fast and show you. This is the KRT model. So you start at the bottom and you work your way up. And those were the examples that we were talking through today. And this model works by implementing kindness as on a consistent basis. And when you're leading with kindness, you are going to make changes across the board, not just within your business or your company, but within your own lives, right? Activating kindness as your superpower. I have a free ebook out on my website, bekindtoall.com, that you can go grab. It will help you, and it starts you with the values. It starts you with where you want to go. Do you want to activate kindness as your superpower? What is it that you want to do? So that's where it all started. I know we need to keep it simple. Things get so complicated within corporate business communities. We can keep it simple. And the simple way is kindness. The business case for kindness. The business case for kindness will always be positive, because when you lead with kindness, there's a lot of great things that happen. And that's why the KRT model gets you where you need to be. So I'm going to quickly go into some must-have leadership skills that are super important for the KRT model. And I don't know how many of us are talking about them. I know a lot of people have not been given formal training on any of these, and I've been lucky enough. I trained these while I was in college. I have been training leadership skills. I have been training presentation skills my entire life, I guess, since I was 21, 22. So at this point, what is that, 25 years training leadership skills. Even before that, I didn't realize I was doing it. But when you're 16 and you are promoted to run a luggage store, it's something you just don't even realize. Critical skills to implement the KRT model. Number one, active listening. Does everybody know how to actively listen? Do you know how to listen to respond instead of react? Problem-solving skills. Do you know how to solve a problem? Conflict resolution skills, and giving and receiving feedback. All of these things are skills needed to be a KRT leader. And we will have a whole nother discussion on that later, because must-have leadership skills are important. So I appreciate everybody coming on. If there's any other questions, we'll go for a few more minutes and I will sit here and talk to you, because the business case for kindness is always positive. I should have added a live goal, I guess, over on TikTok, and I didn't do it, but such is life. The business case for kindness is our path forward. It is the roadmap for the future. How kindness, respect, and trust hold the power to transform corporate America and beyond, right? Because it's not just about businesses. It's about our communities too. And that's why the KRT model is going to be expanded and published by itself, because this is the model and the roadmap for our future. Communities, businesses, small businesses, nonprofits. The KRT model is the future. And I'm so excited to share it with everyone. And if you haven't grabbed a copy, you can get a copy of the Business Case for Kindness from my website at bekindtoall.com, or it's on Amazon and Audible and Kindle. You can get it any of those awesome places. I am just so excited to have been here today with you. My name is Cherie Krim, and I look forward to being with you guys again. I'm going to stop my one over here, and I'm going to stay over here on TikTok for a few more minutes. So thank you, everyone. And I really appreciate everyone having a good day, and I will talk to you later.